Hello, everyone. I just wanted to quickly share something that has been on my heart about being present and this experience that I'm going through. And I know so many of us are going through this sort of intensity, whatever it is in your life, whatever is arising, whatever is changing, whatever is shifting. I know for me, it's asking me repeatedly to be present, to be present, to be present. Like my life depends on it. And in a way it does, kind of like I talked about in my last video, just the kind of the intensity of the thoughts, the feelings, the happenings that are going on around us and within us, and how loud or how powerful they are, and how quickly and easily we can get pulled into, I guess, like paradigms, these old ways of being. And when you find yourself getting pulled into it, it's feels like very rocky ground, identifying with these things that are no longer serving us, or at least, that's how my experience is. But my point is, because I want to make this clear and concise, I just keep coming back to, there's a lot of different things I want to call it in different words. Being present, praising God, living each moment as a prayer, as an offering. And I don't mean this in a dogmatic way at all. I mean this in the way of truly remembering who I am, remembering who you are as a divine being, embodied. The whole soul embodiment is such a huge theme right now. And in a way, to be completely honest, it doesn't even feel like an option. I mean, of course we have free will, and it is an option, but as far as true sanity goes, it feels like it's not an option. But it's so beautiful, and I'm so grateful, because what it is sort of, I want to say, forcing me into, I suppose, is this presence, is this deeper awareness. And, it's truly what I believe Jesus was. His teachings, his story is the story of spiritual awakening. And what, really stands out to me, especially right now, about Jesus and about what he was able to do, is to walk the earth as a human being, completely embodied in the knowing of who he was, knowing he was infinite soul, knowing God was within him. I truly believe that was what he was actually teaching humanity, is that infinite soul that is within all of us, and that we all have the seed, we all have the potential to be in that level of mastery. And, it's not easy, but it's possible. And there's so much on this journey that we cannot control. And that's another reason why, the Jesus energy is so strong, is because Jesus is a living example of somebody who was, again, very human, went through so many trials and so many tribulations that, we can all on some level relate to. And through it all, still being able to hold and embody this sacred divine presence of who we really are throughout all of it. No matter how much life's situations and circumstances challenge us and push us, further than we even ever knew is possible, to still be able to stand in our light through it all, and do our best, and have this deep, again, it's like embodiment is just the word, because it's not just in the mind. It's not just, conceptually, yeah, I'm connected to my light, but I'm, living, but I'm connected to this light. It's like, no, I am this light, and I am living through it, And yes, there's times where, I may fall, I may stumble, I get pulled back into the unconscious, I get pulled back into unconscious ways of being, or whatever it is. But when you come back to the present, you're always, no matter what happens, you always have everlasting life. You always have infinite freedom. You always have infinite mercy and forgiveness for your past. Always. Always. That's what God is. That's what God is to me. You know, that's just what I've been learning. And so it just opens up this whole new level of being. And again, it's always accessible in every now moment. And it's only accessible in the now moment, not in the past, not in the future, right now, you know. And that's why, again, I just feel Jesus so strongly. I know so many of us do. That's one of the many reasons why it's so profound and so important for us to be connected to this true God force within us that is beyond unconditional love, that will always love us. And that's why, you know, Jesus saves, is because there's so many human beings that have found themselves deep in the trenches, you know, whether it's deep in the trenches of suffering, deep in the trenches of, you know, what we call sin, deep in the trenches of, you know, these earthly illusions that can be painful, can be debilitating, can be paralyzing, can be confusing, can be bottomless, can seem like there is no way out. When you connect to what Jesus is, and you don't even have to call it Jesus, but I'm just being, you know, upfront with how I'm experiencing it. And so many have experienced this. When you come back to Jesus Christ, or whatever that represents to you, that source, that truth of who you are, it will pull you up from any trenches that you may have been deeply embedded in. And that is such a profound experience. And I think, you know, if you're listening to this, we've all experienced this at many times in our life. And, you know, we'll probably experience it again when we find ourselves deeply entangled in the impossible, bottomless trenches of, you know, the lower realities. And you can connect to this force that will uplift you in a moment. That is so profound. That is so powerful. And that is just something I really wanted to share, because I just feel this need, I guess, again and again and again, to connect to this. You know, again, embodiment throughout my day, presence, every day, every hour, every minute, every second. And this is a practice. This is a divine skill. This isn't something just for some people. This is something that, in a way, you have to understand and realize. But beyond that, it's a practice. It's literally just the skill of actually being present. So simple. I mean, you couldn't even get any more simple than that. And yet, as we know, a lot of times the simple things are the hardest things, and that's why it's a divine skill. It's a practice. And I talk a lot about, as many do, that part of this shifting into this soul embodiment is we don't have the kind of control that our ego once had or believes that it had. And we have to really relinquish and surrender again and again this sort of control. And it's really hard at times, you know, because the world that we're born into, just, you know, naturally we're so attached to these certain identities, these certain beliefs, these certain programs, these certain ways of trying to control life so that we feel safe. And again, this is something that, at least in my experience, this is all I can share, I am being asked deeply to relinquish this control, because it's just not serving. You know, it's just not serving. But the point I was going to make, in a way, there is one type of control, if that's even the right word. I don't know if it is, but the one type of control, the one type of willpower, I should say, the one type of even force, I would say, is the determination to force yourself back into the present moment. You know, this is just something I'm learning. That's the one aspect of control, if that's even the right word, that, at least again for me, is really important and really necessary and really powerful. That's the one thing. Because again, these illusions of the mind are so strong, are so seductive, are so hardwired, that it requires it requires this sort of force. It requires this sort of discipline to pull yourself back up again and again and again. Pull yourself back into the present moment, without judgment, without judging yourself. You don't need to judge yourself, because that itself is also an old illusion. Because again, you're eternally being born anew in every moment. Remembering who you are, remembering that this is a dream that we're in, that we're walking in. It doesn't mean that it's not real, it doesn't mean that it's not sacred and profound. It's just a correct knowing and remembering again of who you are, and again embodying it. So I just want to share that, because there is a sort of element of forcing yourself back into the present moment, because it's again so easy and so quick to get pulled out of who you are, pulled out of yourself. And in that respect, it feels like a battlefield, at this point at least, because everything is so intense around us. Everything, it's always kind of been this way, but it's very apparent now that everything will try to pull you out of who you are. I think that is the extreme kind of training we've been in, and that we're, seeing right now. So if you can just have this firmness and focus, I think that's a better word than control. Focus. But there is like this element kind of forcing yourself back into your focus, because there's so many things, especially the thoughts and the beliefs and the paradigms. I think that mind is the trickiest part of it all. To pull yourself back into the present moment throughout your day, every hour, every moment that you can. And this is how we seriously start to shift into such an entirely new way of being. And again, liberation. Again, walking in this world in the same way that Jesus did, where we're able to do the kind of things that Jesus did. And I have to say this again, Jesus said, "You shall perform greater miracles than I." How gracious and beautiful, and that's something that religion has really tried to take away, I think, from humanity. Thinking that Jesus is something outside of you that you have to touch, when Jesus made it very clear that Jesus is something that is inside of us, that we can embody. And when we're connected to this force, this presence throughout our day, we are able to experience miracles. We are able to handle things that we don't think we can handle. We are able to navigate through the densities and the darkness and the chaos and the complexity of the world. We are able to calm the insane waters around us, and walk on water. We are able to do these things. We are capable of these things. And it's beyond the ego, though. It's beyond what we've been taught and programmed. But it's something naturally within us that could never be taken from us. But again, the discipline, the determination, the laser beam focus that is required of us, the fire that is required of us at this time to come back to who we really are, and own it, and own who we are, and stand in that light. It's the most powerful thing imaginable, really. And it's so simple. It's so possible at any given moment. Again, it's just that power. It's just that force of coming back to the present moment, pulling yourself into the present moment, into who you really are, into praising God, and I mean that in the most multidimensional way, because every moment is a celebration. Every moment is freedom, no matter how, complex your situation may be right now. You have this inner invincible sun, always shining, always knowing. And when you're connected to this, everything about your life changes. And we've all surely experienced this. It's just the matter of being able to maintain it. That's the practice. That's the practice. And again, that's sometimes where you have to pull yourself up with all of your might, with all of your strength. Pull yourself up. I mean, it's intense. And I just feel this so, so strongly, because those thoughts, those anxieties, those fears, these things will test you to the very core, you know? And I guess that's maybe just the divine design of evolution, is we're meant to be tested to the very core. And can you have that firmness and focus again and again to come back within and find your presence and find and know your innate connection to God's source running through you, and walk the world as the master that you are, that you came here at this time to be, you know? And feel Jesus's energy, because that will assist you. You know, it assists me so much, you know, just as an energy, just as a consciousness, just as a reminder of what's possible for all of us. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I want to kind of keep this one short, but just so much love and encouragement to all of you always. Just know you are so loved, you are so protected, you are so guided, and you have everything you need within you. You know, now is truly such an incredible time where, you know, it's really time for us to shine and be who we are, you know, and maybe it's not what we thought it is. It's not what we think it is, but it's within us, and it's revealing itself to us. It's such a miracle. God bless all of you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for shining. Thank you for your courage and your bravery and your grit to show up every single day, no matter how many times we fall, you know, how many times we stumble, how many times we get sucked into unconsciousness. It's okay. Just get back up. That's it. That's all you can do. You know, that's all you can do. All right. Talk to you guys soon. So much love to you all.